The John Denver mystery finally solved and isn't good. John Denver was born Henry John Dutz Skondorf Jr. on December 31st, 1943 in Roswell, New Mexico. While growing up as a member of a military family, his father was a U.S. Air Force pilot and constantly moved his family from place to place. These early years had him both develop a sense of rootlessness and an overwhelming appreciation for the vastness of the American landscape. Themes that ultimately came to define his songwriting. John Denver's love for music began at an early age. He received his first guitar from his grandmother at age 11. Thus, that simple gift proved to be life-changing. By the time he went to Texas Tech University, he had developed his musical voice, influenced among others by Elvis Presley and folk musicians of the 1960s. Eventually, moving to Los Angeles to pursue a career in music, inspired by the state he adored, Denver changed his name to Denver in honor of Colorado's capital. Denver's big break came in 1969 when he wrote Leaving on a Jet Plane, which became a major hit for Peter, Paul, and Mary. With the success of the song, he was established as a promising songwriter, and he soon stepped into the spotlight as a performer in his own right. During the 1970s, John Denver rose to fame internationally with numerous Deer hits, such as Take Me Home, Country Roads, Annie's Song, Rocky Mountain High, Sunshine on My Shoulders, and Thank God I'm a Country Boy. These songs captured the heart and soul of America's natural splendor and human emotion. By blending the influences of folk, country, and pop into an instantly recognizable sound, a tenor voice and acoustic guitar became John Denver's trademark. John Denver is not only a celebrated singer-songwriter, but also a multifaceted entertainer who appeared in many films and television specials throughout the 1970s and 1980s. One of his most impressive acting roles was in the 1977 hit film Oh God, where he shared screen time with the legendary comedian George Burns. The film proved to be commercially successful and a vehicle to display Denver's natural charisma and warmth beyond his musical talents. His gentle and sincere presence on screen matched perfectly with the humor of Burns and helped Oh God become a beloved classic that could balance comedy with thought-provoking themes. Beyond this film, Denver's participation in television specials and other screen projects became testament to his popularity and his ability to connect with audiences through different mediums during the peak years of his career. Though most people know John Denver as a musician, during this period, he continued to make new music well in the 1990s. He was still constantly evolving, yet remained true to the folk and country roots which had earned him his fame. His work increasingly reflected his growing passion for environmental causes. Denver was an ardent supporter of the protection of natural landscapes and the wildlife within, often using his music and public platform to bring awareness to ecological issues. He championed conservation efforts and living sustainably, believing deeply in the need to preserve the earth for future generations. Besides the environmental activism, Denver was also an outspoken supporter of space exploration, captivated by the potential that humanity has to explore the cosmos. This interest went well beyond just mere fascination. He lent his voice and influence to campaigns that called for funding and public support for NASA and other space programs, looking upon exploration as a vital step for human progress. John Denver made another notable mark by standing up against music censorship. In a time when several musicians were facing pressures to alter their art or face bans on airplay, Denver testified before the United States Congress to protest any censorship and further advocate for artistic freedom. This testimony underlined his commitment to the idea of creative expression and that music should be a way to truth, inspiration, and human connection without restrictive regulations blemishing it. Denver's involvement within these political and social issues bespoke a deeper dimension to his public persona, one of principled activism and civic engagement beyond his career in entertainment. A defining aspect of John Denver's identity was his deep love for the state of Colorado, whose startling natural beauty so influenced his music and lifestyle. He dwelled in Aspen, Colorado, for much of his adult life, finding inspiration in the towering Rocky Mountains and the crackling outdoor community there. Aspen was more than just a residence. It was a source of replenishment and creative energy for Denver, who could often be found writing songs that spoke to the area's landscapes and spirit. In recognition of his cultural contributions and his embodiment of Colorado's spirit, Denver was named the official Poet Laureate of the state in 1974. This honor recognized his role in elevating Colorado's image and sharing its beauty through his lyrical storytelling. Denver's connection to Colorado was immortalized through his music, in particular in the song Rocky Mountain High, which captured the awe and wonder he felt toward the mountains and wilderness. This song became so closely associated with the state and its identity that in 2007, the Colorado State Legislature officially adopted the song Rocky Mountain High as one of its 2 state songs. The choice celebrated not only Denver's artistry, but also the song's power to evoke the spirit of Colorado's natural environment. In the same vein, his song Take Me Home, Country Roads became an anthem for West Virginia, reflecting heartfelt nostalgia and a sense of home well beyond Denver's own roots. In 2014, West Virginia honored the song by adopting it as one of its official state songs, further cementing John Denver's lasting legacy in American music and culture. Denver was not just a musician, but a passionate advocate for environmental protection and humanitarian causes. He used his fame as a platform to raise awareness about conservation, world hunger, and peace. In the 1970s and 1980s, he founded WinStar Foundation, an organization devoted to environmental education and sustainability. He also acted as a spokesman for UNICEF and worked ceaselessly on behalf of global humanitarian efforts. His music often reflected his ideals, celebrating the earth and promoting love and unity, and urging listeners to protect the world around them. Denver's charismatic presence went beyond mere recording studios and concert stages. He was a popular face on television, hosting different shows, including the John Denver Special. He was warm and friendly and connected with his audiences so well that it just seemed to shine right through. He also took to acting, which found him featured in multiple films and television specials, showcasing his multifaceted talent and appeal. John Denver's first marriage was to Annie Martell in 1967. Annie, from St. Peter, Minnesota, was more than Denver's partner throughout his life. She was his muse and the inspiration behind some of his most memorable music. The two made a couple when Denver was still an emerging artist, and thus her presence brought emotional grounding amidst the early challenges of his burgeoning career. Perhaps one of the most famous songs inspired directly by Annie is Annie's Song, a touching ballad he had composed in an incredibly short amount of time, just 10 minutes sitting on a ski lift in Colorado. That furious burst of creative genius captured the depth of his love and appreciation for Annie. It spoke of a quiet and profound connection to her and to the beautiful natural surroundings they were set against. Between 1968 and 1971, the couple lived in Edina, Minnesota, a suburban locality that contrasted with Denver's later affinity for the mountains, but provided a stable home during his rise to stardom. As Denver's career reached new heights, especially in the wake of the epic Rocky Mountain High, his feelings for the outdoors and for the mountains deepened. This song was actually inspired by the magical time he had gone camping with Annie and some close friends, a time that reawakened his passion for nature and became a perpetual theme in so much of his music and public persona. With this newfound love in his heart, Denver bought a home in Aspen, Colorado, a place that embodied the craggy natural landscape he so loved and would be his home for the remainder of his days. Aspen became a haven for Denver, a place where he might well retreat from the pressures of fame and spend his days swimming in the beauty of the Rocky Mountains. The Denvers have adopted 2 children into their family, a son, Zachary John, and a daughter, Anna Kate. Denver would always say that these adoptions simply had a very preordained feeling. Zachary and Anna Kate were supposed to be his and hers, a pattern suggestive of a deep spiritual connection in the realms of family life for him. Denver identified very significantly as a father,